And we are live. What's going on YouTube Live? It's your boy Billy Wroe. Today is Wednesday. I'd like to welcome you to the first row. If it is Wednesday, you should already know what that means. It's time for the Wednesday word. That's Wednesday word. Jumping straight into it. Tonight's topic is conquering fear. As always, I like to explain what I mean by my topic. So what do I mean by conquering fear? So typically it's just conquering fear. But what I mean in this particular case is in our lives, we have fears. We have things that we're afraid of, things that we're hesitant about, different degrees, varying degrees of fear. And as we engage with that fear, more so in this sense when we engage with the fear that we have and we shy away from it because we don't want to address it, we don't want to deal with it, we don't want to interact with it, we miss out on what life has, the best that life has for us. Now, what I'm saying, fear, I'm not meaning like your intuition when it's like, hey, maybe I should get out of this place, or maybe I shouldn't be in this place right now. I don't mean intuition. I mean actual fears, the false evidence appearing real, the stories that we have dreamt up in our head or that we've allowed to seep in from other people's experiences that really cause us to doubt ourselves and our ability to solve whatever may lie in front of us. So tonight's topic is really about how do we embrace fear, because it's going to be a part of life. How do we embrace fear, but really not simply embrace it as accept it, oh, it's part of life and we're going to be afraid of things and not do them, but how do we embrace it as a part of life, accept it, and then really engage with it to move past through and beyond our fears. That's what tonight's topic is about, conquering fear. And what I'm doing is a new thing with the Wednesday word is I'm really trying to drill down to the tools and figure out which tools I feel are going to be the most impactful. And in an effort to do that, I'm trying, work with me because it's hard, but I'm trying to keep the tools down to 3 top tools that I feel will help you when it comes to, in this particular case, conquering fear. So let's get straight into it. I hope you guys are ready for the ride. Mark Anthony, let's do this. Thank you for tuning in live, brother. I appreciate it. So the very first tool that I came up with when it came to conquering fear is it's a very interesting tool. It's admit that greatness can be scary. Admit that if you're going to do something that's above average, if you're going to live a life that's beyond mediocrity, it's going to be scary because it's going to be a lot of unknown territory that you venture into at multiple stages in your life. And what I like in greatness being scary too is like you're going into the unknown. The unknown is dark, and you have on a blindfold. So you really have no idea what's waiting for you because of the fact that it's unknown. It's a new territory for you. And so admitting that greatness can be scary lets you get that hesitation, lets you get that baseline fear out of the way right off the bat. Because again, fear is that false evidence appearing real. And you're going to probably hear me say that multiple times tonight, is that false, not true evidence, not true evidence appearing real, but false evidence appearing real. And because it is that, admitting that greatness is scary admits that, hey, I don't know every part of this journey. I don't know every step that's going to be planted on the ground. Sometimes I might take a step and, feel like there is no ground there. It's almost like when your brain does the calculation for walking up and down stairs. It does it instantaneously. It's like, oh, you're taking a step, you're taking a step, you're taking a step. You don't really have to think about that calculation. However, when your depth perception gets involved, keep up with me, please. When your depth perception gets involved, all of a sudden you can have a misjudgment on a step, and the calculation that your brain does to say, hey, this is how much force you need, this is when you can anticipate impact, all those different things. Now you might find yourself stumbling on the stairs. You might find yourself falling down the stairs, and it's going to hurt if you fall down the stairs. But it's because of the fact that your visual perception got involved. It's not because your brain can't calculate. It's because your eyes, what you've seen, kind of just threw off the calculation, and now all of a sudden you're stumbling up and down the stairs. And that's kind of how greatness is. Like sometimes it's like not seeing it helps the process. You just kind of walk blindly through it, and it's like, oh, I don't know, I'm just going to get there 1 foot after the other, head down 1 foot after the other. But other times when we find ourselves looking up and we say, man, it's really dark ahead, man, I'm really unsure about what the path holds and what's next for me. When we start looking up, all of a sudden the calculations start falling off. And so just knowing that when you look up, sometimes it may be scary, but don't let that chase you away from your greatness. Don't let that chase you away from your dreams. Don't let that chase you away from the impact that you were designed to have on this planet. So that's the very first tool, is admitting that greatness is scary, or can be scary. It may not always be scary, but it can be scary. And one of the things that I have that I always recommend, if you have dry erase markers or any kind of mirror markers, I put different messages to myself on my bathroom mirror. And right now, the message I actually typed here on my bathroom mirror, it says, I'm sorry, it says tap into, it says how can you, because I didn't put the how can you part, but it says how can you tap into your divine power. And for me, I don't mean that necessarily in the religious sense. I don't mean that in like the spiritual sense, but like if we are all unique, we are all individuals, we are all here for a purpose, then there has to be some kind of divine energy that we can tap into to make things manifest into this world that we live in, like into this physical world that we interact in. And so like I go to my mirror and I see that. And then when I have challenges, fortunately, that's one of the things I think about. Okay, how can I tap into my divine energy? I just had yesterday intersation that didn't go as according to plan. It had to get postponed because of scheduling conflicts. They came up last minute. It wasn't anything that was like, oh, well, you know, this person flaked on me. The person is a 100% supporter of First Row. So it wasn't anything like that. But being able to tap into my divine energy was able to keep me at peace and say, hey, look, it's dark ahead. You're going to run into some rocks. You're going to trip and stumble every once in a while because it is so dark ahead. But as you move into this greatness, don't allow the fear that you might trip and stumble in the dark along the way to cause you to take down Interstations completely, take down YouTube completely. Be at peace that this is something that is happening, and it is something that you unfortunately don't have the ability to have control over. So therefore allow it to happen in its natural process. And that is about admitting that greatness can be scary, but not allowing it to chase me off from the first row. Boom, boom. Tool number one, done. Tool number two, jumping in. Sometimes conquering fear is not a one-time battle. Man, that one-trick pony, that one and done. Sometimes we want to overcome our fears. There's a difference between overcoming fear and conquering fear. When you overcome a fear, you can do that in a one-shot instance. So let's say for me as a child, riding a bike. Okay, I'm riding a bike. I obviously started off, well, I started off going down the driveway, but most people start off riding a bike with training wheels. I don't remember the training wheel portion. I might have, but I don't remember it. But most people start off with the training wheels. And what the training wheels do is they help you establish your confidence and your balance and understand where you need to keep the bike at in order so you don't fall over to the right or to the left. That's what training wheels are designed to do. Now, there comes a point, as we all know, that we take the training wheels off of the bike. I don't think I've seen like a 34-year-old man riding around on a bicycle with training wheels on it. At that point, it's like, man, brother, you might just want to walk. But at some point, the training wheels come off. And when they come off, we now have to make a decision because we're looking at that greatness. We're looking at being above mediocre, above average of just, oh, well, I ride a bike with training wheels. We're trying to move into, I ride a bike, a 1-speed, a 10-speed, a 15-speed mountain bike. And when those wheels come off, now we make the decision on whether or not we're going to get on this bike and we're going to take it for a ride. And when we get on, we're probably terrified. I know that I knew how to start, didn't know how to stop. That was kind of terrifying to me. But we're on the bike, and what ends up happening is we overcome our fear. We overcome it sometimes the first time we jump on the bike without the training wheels. Sometimes we'll overcome it. Other times it takes learning how to ride the bike without the training wheels, just like you have to learn to pedal with the training wheels, and then you overcome it. However, when I talk about it's not overcoming fears or sometimes conquering fear is not a one-time battle. What I'm talking about is beyond that overcoming. What I'm talking about is something like for myself personally, I don't want to say I'm uncomfortable when it comes to heights. So I don't have like a death-defying fear and can't move and I'm paralyzed when I'm in a high altitude. However, when the ground is very far from me, I am very aware that the ground is not as close as a jump down or a little climb down. And so for me, when I say, again, it's not a one-time battle, I have done things in my life that have taken me outside of my comfort zone when it comes to my uncomfortableness of heights, uncomfort with heights, my fear of heights. And so because of that, the first thing that I did was, I mean, I didn't stop jumping off of playground equipment, even though I was afraid of heights. I just climb up, jump off. I was as a kid. Then as an adult, eventually I was like, you know what? I had this overcome mentality. I was like, I'm going to overcome my fear of heights. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go skydiving. And that was a very big challenge to do. Even though I wasn't the one who literally had to jump out the plane, I was the one who was going to be outside the plane. And so I went skydiving, and that was like my moment of overcoming fear. I thought it was going to be overcoming fear. Like, look, if I've jumped out of a plane, I don't see myself jumping from the stratosphere. So this is about as high as I'm going to get when it comes to the sky. Yeah, no, because I still have discomfort when it comes to being in high places. So then I was like, okay, how can I push myself again? Then I went on a zip line, and I was zip lining across a canyon. So I'm on this cable that's very thin and zip lining across a probably like 100-foot drop to get to the other side. Something again outside of my comfort zone, but it's pushing me. It's saying, look, I get it. You're not the most comfortable person at heights. I understand that because I'm me. I know that. However, I'm not going to allow that to hold me back, because if there's an opportunity that happens to be at the height, if there's an opportunity that happens to be beyond the fear, whatever that fear may be in your life, you can't allow, or you can, but I recommend you don't choose to allow that opportunity to remain hidden to you, unavailable to you, unobtainable for you, because of the fear that stands in the way of it. Even to the extent of not even just the zip line. Recently, last year, as a matter of fact, I went stargazing on a ski lift. Now, that's one of the things where I'm like, I'm not even that high off the ground. It's just I don't really trust ski lifts. I'm like, I don't know who put this together. I don't know what the safety specs are on it. It feels like a fair ride, like they just popped this up and it's gonna fall and let me fall to the ground. But being on the ski lift, that is another opportunity for me to push myself outside of that comfort, outside of that known, into the unknown. And then while I'm on the ski lift, I hear people zipping past. I'm like, what is that? And it happens to be that you can take that ski lift up to a zip line and zip back down. And I'm like, this is the best of both worlds, because I actually enjoy zip lining. I just don't like the heights, but I understand it's a part of the process. So that's tool number 2 when it comes to sometimes conquering fear. Sometimes it's not a one-time battle. Sometimes it's not a one and done. Sometimes you're not simply overcoming something and learning. Sometimes it is a matter of a lifelong journey that you will have to continually engage with in order to not allow the fear to reset back in and to begin to hold you back again. So if you've taken the opportunity to overcome something and you're moving forward, great. But if you have that fear that you know that's on the inside of you, or that obstacle that stands in front of you, and you just, every time it comes up, you're intimidated. Maybe it's public speaking. They say people are terrified of public speaking. Maybe it's public speaking. Maybe it's getting your story out there. If you have that, engage with it. Engage with it. And the more that you engage with it, the more comfortable it will become. However, it may never not be a fear of yours. So that's tool number 2. The third and the final tool is stop feeding the fear. Just stop feeding the fear. There's a movie, and for some reason it eludes me. I should have looked it up before I came online. But there's a movie and it talks about 2 different wolves. One wolf's a good wolf, one wolf's a bad wolf. And at the end of the day, which wolf is within you that lives, and it's the one that you feed the most. So if you feed fear the most, then that's the wolf that's going to win. If you feed courage the most, then that's the wolf that's going to win. And most of the time, from my reflection on my own fears, a lot of my fears originate or have origins in my lack of faith or belief in my own abilities, in my own ability to overcome a situation, in my own ability to properly handle a situation, in my own ability based on previous situations that I've been in where I've made mistakes. A lot of times that's where our fear originates. And what we do is we take that disbelief in our abilities, we take that power that we have. Our ability is our power, whether it's mental, physical, whatever it may be. We take that power, and instead of acting on the power that we have, we transition that power to fear. And we say, well, I can't do because, and we insert our fear. It's not going to work. because, and we insert our fear. And really what that is a disconnect that we're disconnecting ourselves from our own, like I said in the beginning, that divine power, and we're allowing that false evidence to appear real in our lives, and we're acting upon it as if it is real. The other aspect, and this is kind of going back to the second tool, but it blends with the second tool, is again, we have to realize, or it's good to realize that there are stages that we will go through when it comes to fear. Some fears are very severe, like some people will have panic attacks of certain fears that they have, and other fears are very minuscule. They're not very big at all. So it's just like, oh, I was afraid to do that, but ha, I jumped, and now it's over. But there's certain things. Sometimes it's a matter of, like I said, something as simple as riding a bike. Sometimes it's something a little more life threatening, like learning how to swim. But then other times it's something that's deeply rooted, like being single and not being in a relationship. And that one was one that really resonated with me, because I started thinking about like why people can be so uncomfortable being single, like so uncomfortable being single. And it's what I was reflecting on and thinking was, it's because in the word single, we sometimes insert a different word called alone. And so when we feel like we are single and we say, oh, well, I'm all alone, I don't have anybody, we completely buy in to the false evidence that's appearing real, because you may not have a partner, an intimacy partner. What's up, Brother Gap? You may not have an intimacy partner. However, you probably have a community, a village, a tribe of individuals that are wrapping around you, that are surrounding you and keeping you company, hanging out with you when they can, versus that alone. And so really, the importance of stop feeding fear is because what it does is, when we do feed the fear and we make it bigger than it really is, or we allow it to become more powerful than it should be, we stop taking action. We sit idle. We sit inert. And I just had this experience last week on the basketball court. There was a guy on the court on the other team, big Samoan dude, really, really big, like bigger than me in height and weight and size and everything. And for some reason, I got stuck guarding this guy on the court. And this guy wasn't like, he wasn't a soft guy. Like, I really had to like get in there with him. We almost got into a confrontation on the court because of the fact that it was like, dude, I don't know if you expect me to back down or not, but all these other people who are afraid of you, I'm not them. I'm not afraid of you. And it was interesting because I would watch my team, and we not inevitably, but we eventually lost this game. But I watched my team as this guy would come down court, and if I'm not there to play defense, nobody would play defense on them and on him. And it was because of a fear. They were afraid he was going to run them over. They were afraid that he was going to get mad. They were afraid he was going to they would get in a fight with him, and they were afraid of so many different things, that they were in a sport called basketball, but they were unwilling to play the sport of basketball for their fear. And so those are the three tools that I came up with when it comes to conquering your fear. Number one being, admit that greatness can be scary. It can be. Number two is, sometimes conquering fear is not a one battle or a one-time battle. And number three is, stop feeding the fear. Stop giving over the power and the control of the fear, or of yourself, of your divine power and energy, over to the fear, and allowing that to call the shots in your life. Look, we weren't designed to be here for mediocrity. We weren't designed here to be average. We were designed to be the best person, best version of ourselves. So don't allow fear to hold you back from that. Engage as much as you can in that unknown. Don't be afraid of the dark. Don't feel like you can't make it to your bed like I did as a kid because it's dark in the room. Be willing to make that jump into the uncomfortable things in life, so that you can experience the great things in life. Now, with all Wednesday words, I like to share a personal story, something that kind of got me thinking about the concept, something that got me really thinking about conquering fear. And what initiated this was my experience last week playing basketball, watching people not engage in the sport because of their fear of a person. But what I started thinking about more deeply what fear like I really had to work to overcome, and that really held me back for many years, like over 30 years of my life, was being comfortable with my hometown, being comfortable with Sacramento, California. And the reason I thought about that and wanted to share this story is because the majority of my life I have lived in California, and specifically in Sacramento, California. And there were opportunities that came up. There were opportunities that came up to leave. There were opportunities that came up to take employment in other states. There were opportunities, and I always felt like, no, I can't leave home. This is what I know. These are the people that I know. I'm gonna be alone. I'm not gonna know all the people that I know here, over there, wherever over there was. And I was making tons and tons of excuses on why I couldn't make that change. And we do this a lot, whether it's again in relationships. Oh, I can't leave this person because we've been together 5 years. I can't spend time over here because they're going to feel neglected. We do this in multiple different areas. But for me, the area happened to be home. And there's actually a video I did called Treating Home as the Anchor. It's a Wednesday word as well. You might want to go back and look at that, because that is something that also relates to this particular story. But for me, it was about home being home. Like Mike said, the 916. Well, you guys got 2 area codes out there now, so it's not just the 916. Whatever the other one is, I don't even know. But it was about like all the things that in my mind made up home. And about almost 2 years ago, 1.5 years, almost 2 years ago now, I was presented with the opportunity to leave. I was presented with the opportunity to leave Sacramento, presented with the opportunity to move to Utah and take a position with an organization. And I remember going through the interview process, and I remember them asking me, well, hey, have you ever thought about moving to Utah? And I was like, no. Have you ever wanted to come to Utah? No. Have you ever been to Utah? Not until today. And the peace, this is what I mean by tapping into that divine energy, the peace with not have been in Utah before, never have been in Utah before, that I had with that. It was just like, yeah, you know, where I'm at is one of the constants is I will be there. Like, and the fear part that easily could have held me back was the fear that had held me back for years upon years upon years. Well, I'm not going to be in Sacramento. I'm not going to be with my friends. I'm not going to see my sons. All these stories. And I mean, trust me, if you don't have any stories, people have no problem giving you stories. Well, you're going to be out there and this is going to happen, and you're going to be out there and that's going to happen, or you're not going to be able to do this, or all these different stories that I was coming up with and people were coming up with to share with me. And it got to the point where I had been away from California for maybe a couple months, like 2 months or so. And all of a sudden it was like, my goal is to get back to California. My goal is to get back to California. And when I stopped and thought about this towards the beginning of this year, probably like March or April of this year, about my goal to get back to California, it was like my brain said, why do you want to get back to California so bad? And I had to have a moment where I really had to address that this wasn't a one-time battle. This wasn't like I overcame my fear of not being in Sacramento, California. This was, oh, well, you know, you seen an opportunity, you went for that opportunity, and it took you out of California. But this battle is going to be recurring. And all of a sudden it was like, I really don't want to go back to California. Are there things there that I love? I have 2 sons in California. I absolutely love them. Absolutely would like to spend every day with them. But me not living in California, I feel like even right now, the time that I have to spend with them, whether it's via video chat, talking to them on the phone, reading books at night, whatever it may be, that time is actually greater than the time that I had to spend with them when I was running, hustling, and bustling in California. So it was like, okay, well, can I have my sons come out here and visit me? Yeah, they're coming out here in the summer for a couple of weeks. And then I go back into California and visit them for about a week at a time. So it's not like I don't see them. It's not like I don't interact with them. Then it was like, oh, well, you know, but you can go back and you can make more money. And then it was like, yeah, but you could also go back and have a higher cost of living. And all these different stories as I was trying to identify what this fear was that was trying to drive me back to California, all it came down to was I was trying to make excuses to get back into my comfort zone, because I've already moved out of my comfort zone. I live in Utah. Trust me, that was a move outside of my comfort zone. But I treated that move as a one-time battle, thinking, or a one-time fix, and now I'm fearless. I can go anywhere. And I really had to take a look at myself and evaluate and say, you know what? Yeah, there's still parts of me that desire home and miss home legitimately. But home at this point is where I am. California is home, the home that I came from, but home was where I am at. And so right now, home is Utah, and it's a paradigm shift for me that is allowing me to see other opportunities. So if home one day is no longer Utah because there's another opportunity, whether it's further east, north, south, or wherever it may be, I feel a lot more comfortable in being able to say, you know what? I'm not going to feed that fear story anymore about, well, what if you go there and it doesn't work? Look, you can be in the state you grew up in the house you grew up in, with the parents that you grew up with, and it cannot work out. So me trying to limit my opportunities, me limiting myself to average and mediocre just so I can stay comfortable, that is not worth the greatness. That is not worth the divine energy that I'm willing to tap into to live my maximum life as my authentic self. So that's what conquering fear is about. That is what I wanted to share with you on tonight's Wednesday Word, is get out there. There's some fears that you know inherently. You may not have shared them with anyone. You may have shared them with some people. They may have added to the story. You may have added to the story. But there's some fears out there that are limiting you and acting as capacitors, keeping you from achieving the greatness that you deserve, greatness that you are capable of achieving, and seeing and sensing and grabbing opportunities that are just outside of your field of vision. Be willing to engage with those fears. Be courageous, be bold, and engage so that you can, again, move to, move past, and move through. So those are the things that I wanted to share with you tonight. I hope you guys have enjoyed the Wednesday Word. If you've been watching live, I appreciate you guys tuning in live. Speaking of live, we will be live again on the First Row on Monday. It will be Monday, June 10th at 7 p.m. for another segment or episode of Keeping It Real Estate with your man, Key Bryant, the realtor, the key to your real estate needs. Also, we will be having an Intersation back on track next week for Intersation. That will be June 11th. Excuse me, at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But that will be Manifesting Your Dreams with author Damian K. Wroe. He just released his book, Modern Day Mentor. And I know you guys, if you've been on the network long enough, there have been tons of times that I've talked about this book coming out, and it's finally here. I mean, not that it's like, oh, he finally came out with it, but no, it's finally here. It's tangible. I actually have a copy at my house. I should have had it right here so I could show you, but I have a copy at my house that I am currently reading to get through. So that is here, and he's going to be talking and sharing his experiences, not just with Modern Day Mentor, but experiences of manifesting dreams and bringing dreams into reality. So you don't want to miss that as well. And then there'll also be a Wednesday Word topic pending, but I look forward to seeing you guys in about, today is Tuesday. No, I'm sorry, today is Wednesday. So in about 5-6 days, we'll see you again right here on the First Row. As always, if you like this video, please share it. If you share this video, please like it. We're happy to engage with you in the comments up to 7 days after the content has been released. We're always happy to engage with you in the live chat if you're watching via live, but if you're watching via the replay, we will engage with you up to 7 days on the comments. But other than that, again, thank you guys for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you guys next week on the First Row. One love, peace, and God bless.